Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen. This is Mujeeb Kazi, and you're watching Candidate Forum on VOKTV from the studio of Dallas Roundup. I'm just joined by a very special guest with us. She is a Councilwoman for City of Keller. Backie, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
You know, serving for the public arena generally tends to be a thankless job. How has been your experience over the last term that you have served at the City of Keller?
Well, thank you for asking. Sometimes it is a thankless job, but it is extremely rewarding. I have loved serving the City of Keller and being involved with the residents and their families. It has really been an amazing experience. So I look forward to serving the city for a second term.
What is the platform that you're running again? Give us a rundown of your accomplishment per se for the last 3 years that you have been on the council, the vision that you brought in when you came to the office, what percentage of it you were able to accomplish, and what is it that you want to accomplish in the next term?
Yeah, those are all great questions. I think one of the main things when I came into office that I was really passionate about and continue to be passionate about is working together as a collaborative council. We were able to come together, have strategic planning where we could develop the vision of the city and really hone what we feel to be the main pillars of things that we need to focus on. And so thinking about those as really our 5 main buckets. And so I've been very proud of our accomplishments on the budget forefront. We raised the homestead exemption to 20%, the max allowable by state, while continuing to keep the tax rate as low as possible while maintaining those services that everyone wants within the city. We've done a lot of work continuing to connect some of our parks and trails in areas where we were missing connection pieces. Historic spending this past year in regards to infrastructure. So really repairing streets and sidewalks. We had a 6-year backlog of streets and sidewalk repairs. So I'm very excited that that's on the horizon for this year to get those all cleared, as well as working with the sports park task force that we established to look at the Keller Sports Park and some needed revisions and renovations there. We're working on a project in Old Town Keller East. So many things.
Take those one by one.
Okay.
And talk about the sports complex, because that's a huge undertaking.
Yes.
And it's been in the pipeline for such a long time that it needed the attention that is needed. Are you bringing in more sports to the sports complex, or is it the existing facility is just being renovated?
That's a great question. What we have done is really established a task force, asked all of the sports teams that were currently there to come and have a seat at the table, start having some discussions about what we currently have at the sports park, what we have room for, because we only have so much room, what each organization's needs were. And then we went through that process and really prioritized, as well as we really needed some renovations to bathrooms, concession stands, just the main infrastructure of the park as well, and improvement of the field. So everybody put their heads together, put the wish list together. As you can imagine, it was quite a wish list. Some people wanted a lot of really fabulous things, which would be wonderful for our city, but we need to be responsible when it comes to the budget. So we're in that process now of really honing that down and looking to see what we can afford, what is going to make those needed improvements for our community. As you said earlier, sports are so important. They're important for kids, they're important for families. It's important to our community.
Absolutely. It's a family-oriented community. City of Keller is a home for the families who want to live and raise their children. And, because I've been a Keller resident for 22 years, and I don't have a plan to move anywhere because of our great city and at the same time the best school district. Yeah. And your profession is teaching, right?
Yes.
So I know the school district is different than the city government, but at the end of the day, people come to the city because of the school district. So based on your experience, where do you think the school district is heading compared to what it was 10 years ago?
Yeah, and those are great questions. And yes, I'm a former teacher, former school administrator. I work as an educational coach, so I do have that educational background. And you are right. Many people do come to Keller because of our award-winning schools, our beautiful community. They just fall in love with our area. So I think, education has changed since we were in school, even probably from what we've seen from our children as they've grown up.
Correct.
And we need to continue as a community to support our schools. I know on council, like you had said, the school district and the council were two different entities, but we do communicate with each other. We do our best to collaborate with each other. However, at the end of the day, the school board makes those decisions that are right for Keller ISD, and the city in turns works on the things that are within our control. But being able to have those open and honest conversations so that we see that our school district is moving in the right way to support what our community needs and wants.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have mentioned in your campaign trail that you're prioritizing the expansion of the parks and the trails. Do we not have enough parks and enough trails? Are you going to build more? Are you going to refurbish them? Or what are we trying to do?
Great question. A couple of things, actually. So there are some areas where we'll have a great trail going along, and then there'll be a space where the trailhead does not connect to the rest of the parks. So we're really working through that infrastructure money that we're spending this year to make sure that all those connections are connecting, as many as we can possibly do. Also, up on the north side of Keller, Overton Ridge Park, that park is under construction right now. Very proud of all the work that we've put into that one. There's going to be a beautiful park there. It's going to be an inclusive park, so that children with special needs will have more access to the playground equipment. It's a very exciting project up there. As well as on Bate Street in Old Town Keller, there's a very, very tiny park there on Bate Street. It almost maybe looks like a little empty lot right now. But the Parks and Rec Board is working on some ideas for that park and how we might be able to make that more of a nice little passive park where people can come and maybe enjoy someone as they're playing an acoustic guitar and sitting outside having something to eat, a little something to drink, and just enjoy that area. So those are the things that we have coming up that I'm really focused on, and think all of those things make our city great.
Great. And our city has the country look and the modern amenities. But one thing that we want to have more in our city is to see our old town to be more transformed into more of a that can be fitted while maintaining the current antique look of it. What is your plan? What are you trying to do for the old town?
Yeah, and I love that, because I agree with you. We want to have those modern amenities, but we also want to have that our small town feel. We want to have our sense of community. So, and that's really what we're trying to do in the Old Town Keller East project with the Bate Street, making that into a festival street. We have plans to bring in some additional water and electricity there so that food trucks could come and there could be a more pedestrian-friendly walkways through Old Town, and really bring in some other interesting and unique restaurants and businesses. We've seen some great additions into Old Town in terms of restaurants, nice little boutiques, places for people to wander, and I think the thing that we're missing right now is that pedestrian aspect. So that is what we're working on now. How can we make that a more walkable, friendly community atmosphere?
Are you in the favor of having more development in the city, or because you have in your manifesto that you would be prioritizing your redevelopment of the city, maybe on the commercial side as residential? Elaborate a little bit on that.
Sure, yeah, definitely. So I think where we're talking about with redevelopment is it's more of a long-range vision. So over 5, 10, 15 years, as businesses maybe leave the area, or there are other spaces where we need to work, it's really looking at what is the vision that we have for that area. And that was part of the council being able to finally pass the future land use plan. So really looking at our future land use plan, and as areas, we don't want to have empty spaces either. If we had a strip mall there and a couple businesses leave, what can we envision that to be?
Correct.
We want it to be beautiful within our city. We want our corridors to be very welcoming, and we just want our community to be a place where our residents are very proud of. So that is really that aspect of looking at that redevelopment piece.
The last question, the traffic is mounting, and with the sports activities, obviously once we have a more competition going on, other cities bringing their traffic into our cities, it helps the small businesses, but that also give us a challenge to manage our traffic flow, because Keller is a landlocked city, and then we have a flow of traffic going north, south, east, west, and sometimes during the rush hour, it clogged up to 2 miles. Are we working with the, Council of Governments or the other neighboring cities, or maybe even Texas DOT, where we can mitigate this problem?
Yes, definitely. That is an ongoing thing between the city, our public works department, the state, as well as our neighboring communities to make sure that we're managing our traffic, working with TxDOT to ensure that the timing of the lights is correct, because a lot of times that's what we'll see will back up our traffic, as well as making those needed street repairs. I think, at the end of May, we will have the roundabout open, at Bear Creek and Whitley Road. So that's going to be an important road that gets reopened, that'll cut down some of the traffic flow problems that we've had in that area, as well as we have a project that we'll be working on Johnson Road to help ease some of the traffic coming in and out of Keller High School and around there as well. So I think continuing to work with our neighboring cities. And for timing of lights, we also have a few grant programs that we've applied for with the state of Texas that works with some of our neighboring cities to do some needed road repairs in order to help ease some of that congestion that we feel sometimes.
Great. Last question on the sports complex, coming back to the sport of cricket. I'm a big passionate about cricket, and we want to have a cricket to be introduced in city of Keller. Is there any room for maybe a facility for the cricket, or maybe introduction of the game of cricket? Because there are a number of citizens who, because you are a representative of all the citizens, and that is one of the aspiring need of our youth. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, I think that one of the things that we need to do is get you involved in the sports park task force so that you can, let us know what you would need in terms of cricket. I do know, the sports park is, sadly, we wish we had more space for everybody in every sport and everything they wanted to do, but those are conversations that we definitely need to have.
Becky, thank you very much for being on the show. Last message to your audience.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really been a privilege and an honor to be here, and I really do appreciate everyone taking the time to listen. I guess the last message I have is that early voting will start April 25th at Town Hall, and Election Day is May 7th, so I hope to meet you out there or see you out in front of Town Hall or in your communities. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being on the show. And that's all we have. Until next time, take good care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.